recorded a little bit about that. Once again, if you're just tuning in, I have a bootleg version from my phone holder, and it's resting on my leg, so if it falls, excuse me. And so the second one is the stupid one. And that particular chapter talks about this young lady who, somebody called her stupid when she was younger, and she was never able to live past that. That one thing became her identity. She never fulfilled her dreams. She never walked in her purpose. She never could ever see her true self-worth because of allowing that one statement, stupid one, to become her true identity. In fact, it denied her so many opportunities. And so I decided to do that chapter. And it talks about how, the parents, contribute negatively. And after each chapter, I have questions at the bottom. And once again, this is a purpose to cause your juices to get flowing. Whether that's not an exact story of you, if it's a glimpse of something that you've been through, it's kind of like, getting us to face the reality of things happening. No, not to dwell in the past, but so many times we have put on the makeup, we have put on this fake facade that we haven't fully dealt with the truth of the things that we have endured. They have this stigma that people don't go to counseling. If I go to counseling, that means that I'm admitting something is wrong with me. But the truth is, a lot of broken people will begin to get healed if they just begin to tell the truth about those things that happen. And so, for instance, on the stupid one is, who have you allowed to control your life because of something he or she said to you? And once again, the purpose of it is just to get your thought process going, those juices flowing. And then thirdly, it's the overachiever. Part of my testimony, I remember taking and going to school and doing things in life that I thought I was supposed to do. And a lot of people would take and put me in this category of being an overachiever. And it was like, when did this become something negative? When did this become an insult? If anything, this should be a compliment. And so I dedicated that chapter to every individual that's trying to do things right. The truth of the matter is, if we could take and look at the person behind the success, we would see the insecurities that they may have. I know that there's one part in here, there's one line that I really love about this chapter. Let me find it. Oh, she was seen clutching her backpack daily, and many assumed it was due to her insecurities. But she was hoping her roach-infested home would not come spilling over for the world to expose her, hoping that no one would ever sense the aroma of low self-esteem as the steam arose from the lack of confidence as a result of a brain disorder that ate away at her mind. And some of that, anybody that has ever followed me on YouTube or anything, I suffered from epilepsy, which affected the right hemisphere of my brain. So I had pretty much accepted I was gonna not do anything in life because of being dumb and not being able to have any retention of knowledge or anything. And so once again, from that particular story, a lot of people would ask me questions. Did that happen to you? And it's like, man, you're so caught up on being able to put an identity, but is it something that struck a nerve with you that you're not wanting to deal with? And then thirdly is the dreamer. Anybody that knows me as well, I started off with the clothing line that my father had put down, and I went through trial and error, and oftentimes we get comfortable with being in positions that we miss purpose. So now I realize my purpose was not behind the clothing line. My purpose is pouring out the testimony which Christ has given me through allowing me to survive for those individuals that aren't strong enough to survive. And so those are the four. But now after having conversations with people and listening to them, I realized that if I had to be the face of, low self-esteem, if I have to be the face of molestation, if I have to be the face of verbal abuse, physical abuse, whatever it is that somebody could take and connect with these particular chapters at the beginning of this book, I will stand as that. Because it's time that we start dealing with that brokenness that we have. It's time that we start addressing those things that we're trying to hide. Because the truth of the matter is that you can suppress it and you can think that, hey, I have it under control. But at any moment, that thing could be set off again. I was talking to somebody about my book the other day, and it's like, man, so many people are walking around with multiple personality disorder that's not going diagnosed, because we're trying to wear this fake facade that on Monday through Friday I'm this person, but on Saturday I'm this person, and then Sunday I'm somebody totally different. And it's like we're trying to balance all these different personalities because of not wanting to deal with the truth of the hurt and the things that we have done. And so most people be like, what is your book like so depressing and all about negative stuff? No, it's time that we start realizing that a lot of this stuff that's going on in the world, these shootings, this injustice, the abuse, is all because of brokenness that has not been dealt with. People are trying to find ways of being heard, trying to express themselves, trying to take and allow their anger to escape in ways where families are being broken because of people not addressing the real issue. I was an academic advisor, and then I became a college success coach. And like in my position, I had to push academics. And then one day a red flag went off. I was like, okay, here I have over 100 students. All of them can't be doing bad because of them not being able to be successful academically. And then I realized it was because of those underlayer issues, taking and not knowing where they were going to stay at night, not knowing, where their fathers were, their mothers were, being kicked out, being abused, taking and not having a job. All those things was contributing to them not being successful. That I began to do within my Dare to Be Different in a World Full of Copycats tour. I realized that it was somebody's job, and I accepted it as mine, that dealing with the real life stuff is ultimately what can lead to somebody else being successful, because of beginning to heal, beginning to pull back the layers and getting past the brokenness. Man, I never forget, I just recently, not too long ago, did Dare to Be Different in a World Full of Copycats D2BD tour that I'm doing right now. And I always have where individuals write insecurities about themselves. And then I bring somebody up to the front and we paste them all over them. And so as I was doing it, I began to get really emotional because the whole room was like tears everywhere. But then as I'm reading it, I began to cry because it's like, man, I had a flashback of where I once was, and it was like a celebration that because I survived, my story could save somebody else's story. And then I ran across, I don't like my weight, I don't like my learning disability, I don't like my mental illness. But then I stumbled across the one that said that I was suicidal. And it's like, man, I'm in a room with over 100 people, and it's like, who are you? Where are you? But I didn't have to know the identity of that person because my testimony had already addressed that. I remember the day where I sat on the side of my bed and I wanted to take my own life because I didn't see how anybody could be confined to seizures, weight gain, hair loss, and taking and not being able to remember things. I didn't see how that could be it, like passing out and having convulsions. I said, this couldn't be all to life. That now I find myself at a place of celebrating because I chose to live, because I realized God did not create me to quit. God created me for something far greater than my failures, my quitting. And so, that's where part 2. I titled it The Beginning. If you notice, in part 1, it was called The End. And then part 2 is The Beginning. The purpose behind that is because truth of the matter is we have to deal with our past is our past. But there comes a time where we have to put an end to the control in which our past has on us. We have to make up in our minds that today I'm going to choose to live. Today I'm going to make my life different. Today I'm going to embrace that those things happen, but they're not going to forever be my identity of who I'm becoming. And so part 2, the beginning, is because that's where we enter into the part multitasking, where chapter 5 talks about beginning again, and things that needs to take place, but more importantly, the dare of daring to be different in a world full of copycats. We got too many people that's quitting and throwing in the towel. They say that the graveyard is one of the most richest places because of entrepreneurs that never dreamed, authors that never picked up their pen, dreamers that just quit. And so with that dare, I challenge people to understand that they were created on purpose for a purpose. Secondly, to choose to live. And then thirdly, to find something worth living for. With that being said, oftentimes we got to understand that our life is far greater than just us. Our survival is bigger than just us. There's generations that's going to be able to live once they see our strength to live. But we can't be so selfish in life that we're more concerned about what we're doing, that we miss out on the lives of others that we pass every day. So once again, The Little Book Full of Nothing. Check it out. You could go to my website, www.turfitistr.com, turfitistr.com, and you can go to the style tab and you can purchase this. It's only $10. I guarantee you it will bless your life. Another reason why I wound up doing this is because my full-time job is life coaching and motivational speaking, and I realized that oftentimes I was speaking to all these people, and I never like putting anybody on an emotional roller coaster where they're high when they leave, but then they come back down eventually when they walk out those doors. So I wanted to have a takeaway for them. That oftentimes we go through things and we feel like it's nothing and no big deal, but it's something that could ultimately save somebody else's life if we're strong enough to survive. So once again, www.turfitistr.com. Hey, be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, all those other social media sites for the inside scoop. If you're interested in bringing me to come speak, I speak to any age because this